speaker today, Reverend Dr. Rene'e Laboa. And now she has the mic. Welcome, welcome. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. As always, it's an honor. You all look so lovely. And happy Father's Day, Mr. Ashley. I just did want to mention that real quick because I didn't have the blessing of a father figure in my life, and so I've spent all these years experiencing love and understanding the energy of what a father is, and so it has turned my pain and my resentment into a deeper appreciation. So I thank you to all fathers who have helped my heart to heal. Mhm. I also wanted to say happy Juneteenth. We went to a celebration yesterday, and it was, oh my gosh, it was so amazing. It was so fun, and I regret to say that it was my first one, and I just was so elated. It was so fun. I was up dancing and doing all the things. And whenever there was like something over here and they'd call for people, I'm like running over there. Okay, I can do this. It was so fun. And they had this thing. It was very cute. I'll just tell you about this is that uh, white people can't dance. It was hysterical. And so they bring up the men and they bring up the women and it was so hilarious. And it was like a dance off. It was hilarious. And so it was just, and then there was spiritual music and there was this incredible band that played all this stuff from Motown. And then there was, cultural songs. And I was just in heaven, just absolutely in heaven. And so, I'm certain that everyone knows, but I did want to mention that it is, the emancipation of slavery. And I hope that you all had, and I pray that you had a meaningful celebration of freedom.
Absolutely.
Yes, it was
Mhm.
so amazing. I just loved it so much. And so let's just talk about some things today. First of all, I hope you all are well. And as we honor the fathers, the mothers, the aunties, the everyone who has stepped into that role of caring, I just, from my heart, thank you. I want to talk about today. I do want to talk about something that came to me. I don't know if everyone knows what a kaleidoscope is, but it's something that I was given as a child. And for those of you who do not know, it's a long tube. So, sometimes they're made of glass and they're very beautiful stained glass, and other times they're made of paper. But the message is always the same. Inside, it has all these different pieces of paper and or glass. And when you look through it, it changes as you spin it. And I always thought that was so amazing to see all these colors create all this art, and they can never be the same, and they're always different. And so I was thinking about that the other day, and I thought, isn't that interesting? For me, that really represents our teaching, and I talk a lot about perspective and changing the way we look at things. And I think it was Ernest Holmes was one of those really amazing minds and change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. That might have been Emerson. And so it's like we're going through things. And I do not talk about politics, but I find the kaleidoscope to be a a perfect tool for spiritual shift. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I find myself in great resentment and anger and just absolute bewilderment over things that, first of all, I have no control over personally, and or I see things that I feel are unjust and I want to be angry. And it occurred to me that if I spin it, then I see that if I want to be a vessel on a mission from spirit, then me being in anger is not that mission. And so the presence of spirit spoke to me in that moment. I felt this huge shift in me that, oh, love does not have exception. Love is in all things, always. And it really came through me. So the kaleidoscope, I just want to talk about how it captivated me and how it is truly a spiritual metaphor for change, for vision, for seeing our world, our inner world and our outer world in a different way. I talk about this a lot. I know I do because it's, in my opinion, this teaching is no good if we don't know how to live it. And when we can change the way we look at things, um, first of all, it we become higher in consciousness. Second of all, it calms our nervous system, and we become that vessel for spirit. Um, so, in New Thought, we teach that all things can be known through prayer and through active conscious creation. Um, and yet, I find it so interesting how I can spin the kaleidoscope of my mind, and then I'm over here, and then I spin it again, and I'm over here. And what I mean by that is the Emerson quote that I am not moved by circumstances, but therefore circumstances move for me. And what that means to me is that the circumstances may still be there. There may be that refrigerator in the way in my kitchen. The refrigerator doesn't have to move for my mind to move, for my mind to see things different, not as obstacles, but as opportunities. So a lot of times we see things, as I call them, conscious misunderstandings. Um, so a typical turn of the wrist of the kaleidoscope, the colors may be the same, but the pieces may be the same. Nothing is added and nothing is taken away, but every single pattern is different. I like to say that sometimes about, how we keep repeating actions in our lives. We keep repeating the same scenario. You probably heard somebody say this before. No matter what I do, it's always the same. No matter what I do, it never changes. Well, of course it doesn't, because we're looking at it from the same vision. During the pandemic, I joined a group which I thought was just fascinating, during the lockdown, and it was called the view from my room. No, view from my window. And the whole thing was just about all over the world. People would take pictures from their window. They didn't talk, they didn't take selfies. It was just, this is what I'm seeing from my window. And it became this collective of consciousness that people were looking for the beauty right outside their window. This to me is a perfect metaphor for our conscious shift. And so it's not a miracle. It is just a powerful act of empowerment as we stand on the foundation of what we know to be true, and that there's only one. There's only one. And I ask myself all the time, am I standing in that one? Am I standing in that one? And unfortunately, the answer to that is quite often no. And I get the opportunity to spin the kaleidoscope of my mind and see through a different window, to see differently, to see it right. Um, a lot of times, I was working with somebody this past week, and she said, Jill, if I could just get a better job. And then I've heard people say a different partner, more money, different body, childhood, history, everything would be okay then. And I think we all know that that's not so. Because until we change the way we look at the world around us, our inner world, really, not just the world around us, but when we can change the vision through our window, which is our mind, right? Where what is the view from our window? And that's what I'm talking about here today, is that we have a great opportunity to reframe what we call our brokenness, right? Oh, I'm broken, I'm shattered. Oh, she went through so much, this and this and this. Well, instead of viewing difficult memories or challenges as ruin, we turn the kaleidoscope of our mind, and it suggests that life rearranges these pieces into unique, meaningful symmetry when viewed through a different lens. What I mean by that is that, they say hindsight's 2020. Of course it is. We can see how everything unfolded to get us to this moment. Well, I suggest in this moment that we have foresight, and that we stand from here and we foresight to go forward. And we intend what we want this next moment to be. And we are totally, that's the only thing we're in control of is our mind. That's it. And the world's going to spin around us and things are going to happen, but we have control and the power to shift. That's ours. So just a small turn of the kaleidoscope, it completely changes a pattern. This represents our personal power. By changing our mindset or choosing to imagine something new, our reality shifts. I know that I've said in my life, I never looked at it that way. And it changes everything. I've never looked at it that way. And so we have that power. And when we can embrace uncertainty, we have a new power within us that creates a dynamic movement forward. It reveals that that static moment is not really static, that it is vibrant and it is in a place of creation. So every thought, every moment, we are creating. Excuse me. I told one client, I said, if you want to know what's in your brain, what we're thinking, look at the dominant thoughts. What are those? I said, just take a look around at your world, your inner world, your life. What in your life is not working for you? And what are your beliefs behind that? I know I talk a lot about beliefs. I talk a lot about the labeling of things, and that is our conditioning. Those things are our conditioning, and they can be changed. This teaching is so powerful. Those incredible men and our ancestors who came forth with brilliant knowledge, they knew something. And so because we live in this chaotic world, we're not always as dedicated to our spiritual practices, our mind work. And I'm not speaking for you, I'm speaking for me. You may have a perfect meditation practice, but I quite often forget. And so all these things around us, our to-do list, the hurry, 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 especially if you have children, that is very, very hard to, oh, I'm going to be very spiritual today. And so how do we prepare our consciousness as the lens to shift what is our reality? So the kaleidoscope, and it is a metaphysical uh, actual metaphor for seeing things differently. Moments in life, there's always a shift. We say we want change, but when things change, we freak out, right? It's like, I can't control that. Well, no, of course not. And I don't know if anyone has ever had this experience. It's almost like for me, I'm trying to rearrange the pieces on a chessboard and I don't know how to play chess. And so I'm trying to move stuff around and I have no control over it, right? And so what is happening outside of us is happening inside of us. There is a sacred turn. Perhaps it comes through grief, and we know what I've been through, loss, recovery, prayer, love, a special reunion, maybe a new job. We have a new awareness and a new insight. And maybe we're just exhausted of our own suffering, the things that we bring into our mind that we continue to punish ourselves with. And so suddenly, if we can see it differently. You know, my 3-year-old niece is the most incredible teacher to me because you 3-year-olds do not think in logic and they are so in the moment and she'll be just like completely freaking out over something and I'm learning because I never babysat. I was never an auntie, but now I am, and I'm learning how to be a good one. And so instead of saying no, I'm supposed to redirect her thinking. And all of a sudden, her perspective changes and her mood changes. And it is the most fascinating thing to watch. And I realize that we could all take a lesson from that. Is that what is, I think Jesus, that's exactly what he meant when he said, turn away, face the other direction, stop looking at the chaos and turn toward the peace and the beauty, right? And when we look at peace and beauty and not chaos, peace and beauty permeates through our body. It becomes our very cells. So I want us to maybe consider the kaleidoscope of our soul. What is that? We are all a soul, and we have chosen to jump into this human form. And through that is the place that we have the most lessons. And whether you believe in reincarnation or not, I feel like I want this to be my last one because it's been a doozy. And I want to believe that maybe I've learned all my lessons this time, or I've taken my lessons and become the way shower, and like, okay, don't do this, that kind of thing. So how about we see divorce as an opportunity for growth? Um, Possibly you've seen someone who's gone through a divorce and all of a sudden they're better than they ever were. They're taller, skinnier, happier. They're like living in their lives in a different way. So how about we see is when things end that we see it as an opening to something else, a diagnosis. That can be something that really twists up your mind. Addiction. I understand addiction. Addiction really rearranges your mind. And it took me so much time to really do the practices to rearrange my mind in another direction. And it was this teaching. We got recovery, success, failure, the birth, death, breakthroughs, heartbreak, random pieces. All these are part of the kaleidoscope. If you take all these pieces of our lives and you put them into one thing, we can get to spin it. And what part are we looking at and how are we looking at it? Okay. I'm always about metaphor. And a lot of times we can't see the patterns. So I have a very dear friend. You guys haven't met her yet. Hopefully someday you will. My best friend for 25 years and my co-pastor, Reverend Christy Snow. And I have this person in my life who can see my patterns and has absolutely no problem pointing them out to me because I have given her the permission to do that because we will not allow the other person to be in that state of consciousness and that is less than the truth of what we know. And I do the same for her. And sometimes we throw a little tantrum over it, but then we realize, okay, let's stop and let's try to see what we're actually doing. And apparently, I have some patterns. That's what she points out. And when we can know what our patterns are is when we can say, oh, do I want that to continue? See, this teaching is so absolutely mind filled and filled with spirit and filled with metaphor and filled with mysticism. And that is all beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And it's what I love. And yet, if we're not using it in our lives, everyday life, then it was just books. It was just book reading. And I think that the level of mastery comes in when we can shut the book and we can actually start living the things that we have learned, the truth that we have learned. Wounds can be wisdom. Losses can become teachers. And so what I'm talking about here is a metaphysical vision. I don't know how long you've been in this teaching, which we call New Thought. We call oh, what do we call it now? There's so many different names. I'm just going to say higher consciousness. We're living the lives that we're trying to live the lives in the mind that Jesus lived. I can only imagine the hanging out with him, right? I can only imagine. And so what is interesting is the question that will always be the question, like, huh, okay, look how I was looking at that. So what's interesting about this? Ask the question. Always ask what you feel. Always ask if you're thinking or right. So metaphysical awakening isn't about requiring something. It's not about changing your shirt. It's not about losing weight. It's not about getting another job. Nothing on the outside has to change for you to see your life in a different way, to see the world around you, to see yourself in a different way. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to pause before you judge. Um, Pause before you speak. Pause before you hit send on an email. Ask new questions. Ask the questions about the situation. Don't just go flying into it. Well, why is this happening? Well, that's not the question. What is this teaching me is the question. There's no answer to why ever, but the what is always the true question. So we trust in the unfinished pattern, the ununified pattern, because we can look around and see everything is disjointed and we cannot see the pattern in it. And that is when we stop and ask those questions. What's happening? What's happening here? That's when we can become quiet. We can go into some of our spiritual practices. So the larger picture is what we want to focus on. There's this show, and I'll end with this. There's a show on Apple TV, and it's called Silo. It's just some future thing, and the world went crazy, and everybody's living in this silo that goes, hundreds of miles deep. And they all sit in this dining room to eat, but the window is the picture to the outside. And it's just the most destructive, dead trees, dirt everywhere, huge winds. And it looks like I don't want to go out there, right? Well, they come to find out later on the whole thing was a conspiracy to keep everybody in control. And they flipped a switch, and all of a sudden, the true vision was that they were there being controlled when somebody was trying to control their mind, and the true vision was this lush, green, beautiful world outside of them that they could actually breathe the air. They cracked open the vault door and they all went outside and went, it was all a lie. We can use that in our own awakening. Huh, look how I made that. That was a lie. That's not the truth. That's not the truth about me. It doesn't mean about the truth out here. It's the truth about me. What am I seeing? So ask yourself, what's the view from your window? Window of your mind. And next week, I just want to finish here. Next week, we're going to talk about the actual hand, conscious creation, and the art of becoming. There's so many pieces to this. There's just so many pieces. And so I want to talk about um, deliberate creation next week. And so I would love for you to come back. I would love for you to ask questions. And I'm always trying to create a bridge between one thought to the next. So thank you for being here on Father's Day. I hope you have a celebration later on today that includes love and some kind of a barbecue or something. And I just give you all my love as always. And thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you.
Of course,
Thank you.
now's the time. Yes, yes, of course. We are so blessed to have you here with us today, sharing this wonderful knowledge and inspiration. So now's the time, of course, that we do open the forum here. If anyone has a question or an insight they'd like to share, or even an experience, Dr. Rene'e has brought up some experiences that I can relate to. The one with the 3-year-old child. My grandson the other day said to me, while we were in a space where the dog was a little to the side. He had his toy, and I had my daughter and my grandson. His name's Caspian. He was there. And the dog was barking because he wanted to play with us. And so I was just talking to Caspian, talking to my daughter, Gabriella. And my grandson looks at me. He says, Grandma, give Ben attention. And I looked at my daughter. I said, wow, that's a big word. He looked to give Ben's attention. He seemed to. And I'm like, oh my. That was amazing, but true, Dr. Rene'e, you say that we can learn so much through the children as well. They're so
Mhm.
wonderful to be with and learn as well.
Mhm.
Yes.
And love is all there is everywhere. And as you were stating, it's a matter of I'd like to put it as our perspective in,
Mhm.
our life, the inner world, the outer world, seeing things as opportunities. I appreciate you sharing that. Look at it as an opportunity.
Mhm.
um, and to
Yeah.
just reframe our lives. And I look forward to hearing your talk next week as well, applying all that.
All right.
We are souls experiencing the human experience.
Mm.
Let's
Yes.
see.
Quite often, intensely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Um, Linda, you're right about that. You're the one that's been grooming him and raising him, so you
Hmm.
shouldn't be surprised that
Yeah, he's
big
using all these
words.
wonderful words. Yes.
And
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 you know, it's constant. Go ahead.
yeah,
Excuse me.
and now of course, Dr. Rene'e, you're right about shifting the perspective of a toddler.
Hmm.
You can use a thread and just lead them away from whatever it was before.
Hmm.
You know, they'll be crying and fussing over something. Oh, I want my, and then you just say, "Oh, Caspian, look over here. Look at this
Hmm.
shiny new toy here," and immediately stop crying. Like Sonny just cut,
Hmm.
crying, stop, and then he's fascinated by that thing over there. And we knew that coming in. That was embedded in our soul. But as we grew in the world and we start to look at, parents and other people and of course politics, and so we just we moved away from that. We forget how we can change our perspective on a dime.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
forget about the kaleidoscope.
Right.
We forget that we had made a
So sorry.
promise, we had made a covenant to come into the realm of the changeful. We forget
Right.
about that.
You
Yeah.
said you just said something, to become fascinated. The children become fascinated. And what if we became fascinated by the things that we are spilling out in our lives? What if we became fascinated with that? We want to become curious, right?
Hmm.
It's like, oh, okay, that's what I did. Okay, good you. Why did I do that? And that's when we get to do our deeper work to become fascinated and curious of why, like, huh, I do use that a lot when I catch something I do. I go, huh.
Huh. I didn't even realize that word was coming out. Yeah, but
Yeah, it was
yes,
perfect. It's
yeah,
perfect. Yes.
they are, and that's what we should be, you
Hmm.
know, embracing once more. It's wow, and now it seems like work. Seems like we have to go to a therapist and have the therapist redirect our attention to the fascinating.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I must say, this talk, this message, Dr. Rene'e, is a huge life coaching session.
No, thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My
You got everything in there.
Speaking of therapists, my therapist said to me, and so perfect about what we're talking about, because she says, you're speaking in absolutes. I said, what do you mean? She says, always and never. She says,
Uh,
those are absolutes. Those are not, those things are not static. They are not permanent. Always and never. And I went, huh. And how often do we look through the window of our mind as always and never?
hmm.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm. I love that though. Fascinated. I'm fascinated by that.
Fascinated by that. And in this moment we have foresight. I think
Foresight.
yeah, in this moment right here,
Hmm.
foresight. And
Hmm.
we should remember that.
Isn't that what we do with prayer? Really? We are projecting the desires not of our heart, but also the energy that is surround us. I mean, it's foresight. And
Hmm.
so our prayers are really very, very powerful. And so many times we do our prayers unconsciously, not recognizing that what we are is changing the pattern. And I'll go ahead and say the quantum field. I know it's not easy to describe, but we're changing the flow.
Oh yes. Oh
Hmm.
yes. Yes, we are. We are moving that with our minds.
Yeah.
We are.
You know, that you're
Yeah.
touched on the group consciousness, Dr. Renee. And,
Mm.
you know, now I've been reading and seeing that the group, the group consciousness for spirituality is raising, it's rising quickly,
Hmm.
more so than it was 5, 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Everyone's talking about spirituality that I'm
Yeah.
seeing. Maybe because my algorithms too. I'm always looking up things like that. So I'm getting from every different area. They're talking
Hmm.
about spirituality and consciousness, and being aware and changing your environment, all kinds of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It is so interesting. You had
Yeah.
mentioned something about someone, your friend is like holds you accountable. She shows you your patterns.
Yes, she does.
I tell you.
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
have an agreement, though, that she just doesn't give me her advice or anything unless I ask. And so I've given her,
Permission.
fortunately, unchained permission. So,
Yes.
Yes, Reverend Rene'e, um, you touched on living the teaching. To me, that is very, very deep and interesting, because to teach the teaching is to live the teaching,
mm,
So
Mhm.
I find that it really touches other people
mm,
or other individuals when they see the teaching coming through you, you know,
Mm.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and you're creating your world while
mm,
you're teaching.
mhm,
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
mhm,
very, very deep for me. Uh,
Mhm.
as you spoke about the 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 child, Reverend Messiah from time to time goes to the lesson from our son when he was the one telling her mom, why not look at it this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there is always
Mm-hmm.
another way in consciousness to see through the lens that you're looking through. And in so doing, you can rearrange the pieces of the kaleidoscope.
mhm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Mr. Ashley, thank you for that. And I consider you a teacher. All
Mm-hmm.
the wisdom that you share and you share about the people that you speak to, and you definitely are a teacher in this world. And I am grateful to hear your wisdom. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm grateful too, Dr. Renee. I'm hearing it every day, and sometimes I'm completely floored, flabbergasted by some of the things that I hear
Mhm,
out of him. Especially when our son was growing up, and here I am now, muscling up and ready to go have the talk about this and that with my son. And I say, "Okay, Shamar, come sit down here. I'm ready to talk to you about this." And he said, "Well, mommy, daddy already talked to me about that." I said, "When did this happen?" And every time something major, I think it's a milestone now for him to hear this. Oh no, he's 2 steps ahead of me, 10 steps ahead of me. So I said, "Okay, that's the way it is."
mhm,
And so he's usually in that place, as he says,
mhm,
"Oh, mommy, can you just look at it this way?" Always
mhm.
have a different perspective for me. And, you don't know that you know until you know. But anyway, talking about patterns, our patterns that we have, and we have them all. We have them all.
Mm,
All of them. It's just that some are more pronounced than others. And when we're operating in our patterns, there are 10 chances to one that we're not conscious that that's
right.
we're sailing in that. And so we do these things and say these things that have people looking at us like sometimes funny. And like me, I have grown into the person who will call you out on that. And when I'm
Mm,
calling you out on that, I am I've learned to come from a place of love. It's coming from a place of love.
mm,
And some people might really take it the other way,
mhm,
but it's a learning. It's
mhm,
always there.
mhm,
Um, yes, it is. You point out this and you point out that, and like your friend Reverend Snow would do. So
mm.
especially the tone that he used. Sometimes my Jamaican, it's just they're standing in front and people would take it a different way. But yes, I'm coming from a place of love.
Mhm.
Veronica, your hand is up.
Hi.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good
Dr.
morning.
Rene'e, another great topic, good conversation,
Thank you.
because I think, and and it's by no error or mistake. It's like when we're really ready and open for certain conversation, it always shows up. It
Right.
never seems to fail.
Hmm.
But I really like the idea of K of our soul, the different patterns, and so many times for me it's just going through life, just going through the notion, just going, waking up, going to sleep, going to work, back.
Mm-hmm.
But the key thing is to be aware of these patterns,
Mm-hmm.
because they're always there and they're there to show us stuff, and sometimes it is to change the way we're looking at it.
Hmm.
Yes.
Stuff
Yes.
is happening in our lives, and we just figure out, geez, this again, so much that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we just change how we look at it, and then what we seems to think is messy or the mess, it's really our message, our journey,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and we are the one chosen to go through this, whatever this is, so that when we get on the other side of it, we can take someone else through it, help them see it because we have lived it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just to pay attention and focus on it. And it's not the why. I love that. I'm always saying that it's not why, but
Mm-hmm.
what?
What?
Hmm.
What? What is the lesson, God? And this is always my thing. Okay, God, what are you teaching me now? Anytime I get to that point, I just said, okay, what is this teaching me? It's
Hmm.
always that. And we kind of focus too much on what we don't want. And that's what we put the energy.
Hmm.
And so, even with what's going on in the country now, what's going on, it's because too many of us are putting our energy into that.
Hmm.
We're now putting our energy into what do you want? What do you
Hmm.
want to see? What's the difference? Let's
Mm-hmm.
think of it. Let's think
Hmm.
of seeing that beautiful place where everybody's just getting along. Things are happening. People are prospering. People are being healthy. But we focus too much on what we don't want.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, I really love the topic this morning because it really helped us to look at the different things that are happening in our own lives, because so within, so without.
Out. Yes,
If
can
you're seeing it on the outside, oh boy, it's already happening on the
be
inside.
on the
So
inside.
you got to go figure that out. So it's just good conversation and really just telling us to pay attention, be more aware,
Mm-hmm.
just shift from how you're looking at stuff. Just
Right.
look at it at a different way. And it's just amazing. So thank you so much for that.
Mm.
Thank you. I just had a great idea. And I just kind of, when you were talking about, what if protests and we surround those areas that we want to see shift? What if we, instead of saying a word or having speakers, we all just synchronously, I can't say the word, we synchronize and we sing a song of peace, a song of love, a song of unity, a song of oneness. And
Mm.
that's all we do. Because
Yeah.
that's energy. You really
Yes.
can't
Yeah.
sing a song of love and be in resentment. You just can't.
True.
And so all of a sudden I'm like, let's surround the White House and sing. All these places. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work, but the point is that what we're doing is we're changing our own dynamic.
Dynamics.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Even some of the the musician, if they can come together and just have, just concerts or just meet, just like that. A group of them just say, okay, we're going to sing
Yeah.
this weekend and just all sing song of peace and
Yes.
love and harmony. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Well, look what Michael Jackson's song did. We are the world. I mean, it went
Yeah.
viral. I mean, it would
Whole
just,
world.
it
Yeah.
became a blanket for the world. And
Wow.
that type of energy and connection
Yes.
and oneness is
We need
so
that.
beautiful.
Yes. And Dr. N, I'm gonna take away the idea of just becoming fascinated by.
Yes.
Yeah. If we, that will bring on the feeling, and never got I said the feeling is the secret. So if we are fascinated by this thing,
Yeah,
wow, that would change our perspective.
sure would.
And Veronica is right. When we learn, we teach, according to Maya Angelou.
Yes.
And if we're teaching, we're helping, because sometimes when we're in our patterns, our head is down. It's down, down, down. And if somebody come along, like a Dr. Rene'e, like a Coach Veronica, like a Ashley, like a Premier Glory, even like an a day, and just hold my hand and turn me around, said Mazia, look this way, or look at it this way, or as Jesus said, or the Bible said, Scripture says, turn the other cheek. It
Yes.
doesn't mean that when you hit me, you must turn the other cheek so you hit me here. It means, you're right, Dr. Rene'e, just turn the other way and just look at it this way instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
give you perspective.
Yeah, my friend, I'm focusing, my friend Mark, when I'm focusing on, the problem or whatever, he says, "Are you navel gazing?" Because that means I'm looking down. He says,
Looking
"Are you
down.
navel gazing?" And so I always think of that when I go to that place of downward thinking. And then we've got Jacob who said, "I am doing the Lord's work and I will not come down." And I
I will
see
not
that
come.
as our consciousness. I'm doing the Lord's work. I will not lower my vibration or
Vibration.
my thinking. So, and I'm fascinated. Yeah, I love
Yes,
that.
yes, yes. Thank you.
So, uh, on my WhatsApp profile, I've put the closing affirmation,
Oh,
Oh, I love that.
oh,
and someone saw my profile the other day and said, "I like that. Will you send it to me?" I did,
ah,
and then
yeah.
the person was kind of upset,
Mm,
saying, "You're always looking at the good, no matter how the situation is so bad." And I said,
And they
"Well,
were
there's no
upset
really,
about that?
yes, because they want to be angry."
mhm,
And my perspective is to shift into the positive and see what good is going to be coming out of this present situation.
mhm,
So
Oh, oh.
a few weeks went by, and the person said to me, "I'm doing like you're doing. I'm looking at this thing to see the good that's in it." So I said, "Oh, where was all that
So,
anger that was there about looking at seeing the good in everything that's happening?" So uh
all right, Professor Smith.
I really
Yeah, it's a
look
good
forward,
one. Yes. Oh,
I've
sure.
loved this closing affirmation ever
Yeah,
since I learned it, and
yeah,
I'll continue to keep it at my profile.
right. So you're not looking down at your shoes
Nope.
or your navel,
Or
for
your
that
navel.
matter.
He has very colorful language, so
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for this, deep and rich discussion on this Father's Day, this very special day. And we can take this into the week and ruminate in it